Okay, let me just go off by saying the CMA adjustments is not perfect. In the last year, things have changed a lot in our market. So it may be off a little bit. However, it is a great tool to use when you go out and do a CMA. So if you have a chance, you can download it. You can have that for you. Heather, do you have something to add?
Once you do that, I would save it as a photo in your phone. Save it as a favorite. I do have an iPhone, so of course I'm going off of that. But if you do it as a favorite, then it's easy to find. And so you always have it on hand instead of wondering, okay, where do I go to it? Where is it? So save it in your phone as a picture, and you'll always have access to it.
That's a great point. That way, if you are at a listing appointment and somebody says that they want to put granite in their home, that should give them $5,000. You can have easy access and say, well, actually, granite's only going to give you between $1,500 to $2,000. So it's a great tool to have on hand if you're actually at a listing appointment. Great tip from Heather on that. These are the numbers that we're going to use for today's. Maybe at some point in time, if the things keep going the way that they are, we may have to make some adjustments. But for right now, I'm still finding that it holds true for me. I don't know about some of the other agents, whether or not they're finding it still holds true for them. But for now, I'm still using these same numbers. Good morning, everybody. As you guys jump on, I'm just going to keep going. So from here, usually, by the way, CMAs are done for not just listing appointments. You should be doing a CMA when you have a client that wants to write an offer. I know right now we are in a buyer's market. And so people are making offers, and they are making crazy offers on homes. But please let me just reiterate that the home still has to appraise. And so your people do need to know what the house is actually worth before they start making offers. So you as buyer's agents also need to be doing CMAs. So please keep that in mind. That's part of your job as well. All right. So I do not have a particular, well, I did not have a particular home in mind. So I just went and found one. I would normally ask for somebody, but I know that you guys are working on listings, and so I didn't want to be in the position of maybe a dual agency situation or where we're doing something on somebody's upcoming listing. So I just went through and I found a listing. It's currently on the market. It's not with Keller Williams, but I'm going to show you guys a couple of tips and tricks that I do. Whether or not you guys do it, whether or not it helps you guys, I'm hoping so. So I'm going to type in an address. I know Tiffany's on here somewhere. Tiffany Massick. Good morning, Tiffany.
Good morning.
See, I knew you'd be on here. I don't know if you by any chance do this. So when I have an address that I'm looking up, I always click all of the, I always click active, contingent, pending, sold, expired, withdrawns. I do all of those because I want to know what it's been done with this property in the past. So I always click all of those. This one in particular right now is currently active, but I also want to see what the story's been, if it's been recently bought or sold, whether it's been listed in the past. And if so, I would write down those MLS numbers. This is important for future reasons. So if you're doing this with me, you can write down that MLS number right now, because I'm going to show you guys a time-saving tip for later. You can click this box, since this is the one that we're using and it's already on there. You can click this one. There's two ways that you guys can go about this. You can click this one and go straight to CMA, which is what we're going to do. Or you can go and search for properties now. I've done it both ways. It doesn't really matter. I tend to search for properties first because that's just how I do things, but I'm just going to show you guys how you can do it. So I'm clicking the CMA button right here. So if you click CMA, so a lot of people, they get to this part and then they can't go any further because they haven't created a contact. You do not have to create a contact, guys. So unless your person is already in your, what am I trying to say? Your, come see Dici. Help me out, somebody, read my mind. Your list for.
Does anybody else hear that?
Yes, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Sounds like a vacuum.
It's Heather. Shauna, can you mute her on your end?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
She's muted.
Yeah, I think she just muted herself. Thank you, Heather.
That's funny. See, I did it. So you guys don't have to have this. What is it when you put your person on the automated list of search for homes for them? Why am I having a blank?
Auto emails.
Auto emails. Thank you. Where they do the search for homes that match their criteria. If you already have them set up in that, then you can use this, create a new contact. Otherwise, don't bother with it. Just go straight to your pages. This is already set up for me, but please take a moment and look over all the different pages that you have to offer. For this particular one, there's a cover sheet you can have with a photo, without a photo, or with no subject photos. Of course, I don't have the subject photos. It's just not mine. Let me take this off because I don't want those on mine. Underneath the subject adjustments, there's all kinds of different things that you can use. You can use the summary list, the price adjustments, and the 4-up price adjustments. Under comparables, you can do minimum and maximums, days on the market chart, the list price and sell price chart, the CMA brief, the pro report, and the price recommendations. Your static, activity versus timing, my guarantee to you, effective overpricing, benefits of using a realtor, market analysis, importance of pricing, setting the price. Like all of these things, you can choose what goes into your CMA. So my CMA is going to look very different than Keegan's. And that's okay. It is perfectly fine for it to be that way. And then the map, of course, just has the map. I would very much say that you are going to change this depending on what your client is. Are they a high D, which means that they just want the data of what it's worth, or are they a C that they need to know lots of data? If they're a C and they want to know a lot of different data, you're going to be putting in a lot of this thing. So you kind of need to know what your person is. D and C is the disc profile. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about there. So it all depends on what your person is. Do they just want to get to the bare minimums, or do they need all the data to show where you are at? Once you click on it, and I'm just going to do activity versus timing, it's going to come over here. If you don't like where it is, excuse me, if you don't like where it is in the selected pages, you can move it up. You just do this arrow button and it will move it up, so that whenever the CMA is actually done at the end, this will be in the appropriate place that you wanted it. Everybody's going to have it set up differently. And like I said, everybody's is going to look different, and that's okay. The selected pages, this is how I personally have mine set up. So sometimes I will bring something over here, like benefits of using a realtor. I'm going to use if I'm going out to a FSBO. Importance of pricing, if I know that somebody is not realistic about pricing their home. So where a commission goes, if I already know that somebody's already talking about reducing my commission. So keep in mind that you may not always use the same ones, but once you have the one that you pretty much want to always use, you just set it as your default, and then you don't have to go through every single time and set this up. Your next button is your subject button. And I love this. Excuse me, guys, I have a frog in my throat today. Remember, I told you guys to write down that number. In this particular place, you have 3 different options. You can type in the subject fields manually. So if it's never been listed in the CMA, you would click this and you type in all the information manually. You can search for a property to fill in with the auto form, or you can enter a property listing ID to the autofill form. So depending on which one you want to do. I asked you guys to write down the MLS number, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the MLS number 647823 and hit your fill. Voila! A lot of the information is already filled out for you, and it just makes it really easy. I love easy, and I know most of you guys do too. It just makes your life, that's all I can say, easy. Most of the stuff that you're going to need is already here. It's got your bedrooms, your baths, your garage spaces, because that's really the kind of stuff that you're going to need right here. The only other neat thing that we need is square footage, which we don't see. And I'm surprised that normally comes in. There's a range here, so we're going to have to look up the square footage. So I already have my real list open. So I'm going to look for I have the address 6829 Pin Oak. And it's $14.94. So I'm going to come back on the matrix. And I'm going to put it here for the sold square foot. 1494. Okay. I have my custom fields already set. You can certainly do yours however you want. What you're going to do is you're going to do the drop down. And you can, again, I'm trained, this is how I did it. I added whatever my label was. So for one was granite countertops, privacy fence. Hit OK. If you want to keep it as a custom form, you just hit custom, save custom fields as default. And then now it will, every time that I come over here, it's going to be a default. If there's something that you see a lot, I'm trying to think what else would be something. maybe pool, screen and porch. If you want to put those in all the time, you can do that. We can
Shauna,
bounce.
would like an upgraded bathroom or showers and stuff like that count?
You can, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So perfect. Keep that in mind. You can always go back and forth. So if you don't add anything else now, don't worry about it. We can jump back and do that. So your next one.
Marlon also asked fireplace. That would be a good one on there.
Okay. Are you monitoring my chat for me, please?
Yes.
Since I know you're always on there. All right, so next we're going to go to the cover page. This is what's actually going to be on the front page of your CMA. Because we used a previous picture, you want to be really careful. If that's not what the house looks like right now, you would obviously want to change that picture, and you would do that by right here. For me, I just usually put the client's name. They already know the address. That's just me. If you want to fill it all out in entirety, that's you. So you do you. Then you're going to go to your comparables. I'm going to pick on Kate for a minute. Kate, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I've got you.
Okay. How many CMAs have you done recently and realized that comparables are a big deal?
3 or 4.
Thank you for letting me pick on you.
No problem.
Guys, well, I figured you could take it. You have a great sense of humor. Kate realized comparables are really important. They can really change the scope of your CMA. Thankfully, she has a very learning mentality. And so she sent over some CMAs, and whenever we talked about it, it was all about the houses that she was using. And that was the very first thing, as she said, was, wow, it's all about picking the right houses. And it really is about picking the right houses. So let me start off with first saying, the appraisers are going to use like on like. So if it's a ranch house, they're going to use other ranch houses. If it's a 2-story, they're going to use other 2 stories. So that's your first one that you want to do. If it's new construction, they're going to use other new construction. So don't compare existing against new construction. If you can possibly keep out foreclosures, keep out foreclosures and estates, because they have a different parameters. Every once in a while, you're going to have to, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The other thing is you want to stay in the neighborhood, if at all possible. So you're going to stay in the neighborhood and search back for 6 months. If you cannot find something for 6 months, then go back for the past year. If you can't find something, and there are a few neighborhoods where there's just not much traffic going on, you may have a 2-story and there's only ranches that have sold, or vice versa. So you have to go back a year. If there's nothing that has sold in the past year in that neighborhood, then go outside of the neighborhood, but only stay within 6 months. That's the general rule that an appraiser is going to use. And so you really want to stay like an appraiser so that your values are going to be similar to theirs. You want to stay as close to the home as possible, but you also need to stay within the school districts. Remember, our school districts are really crazy around here. So it's not just close as in parameters, because you can have 2 school districts that are literally right across the street from each other. So you got to pay really good attention to school districts around here, because that does play into it very much. You want to start with the elementary schools, and if you just can't find it, then you go to middle school and then high school. Did I forget anything, Heather? Tiffany?
good.
I love your hat, Heather. All right. So we're going to add here. Okay, so we are going to search. Obviously, we don't want actives or contingents or pendings or expireds or withdrawns. You want residential. The style, do you guys remember what the style was for that particular listing?
Ranch?
So we have to think outside the box sometimes. We don't know if they put it in as a 1-story or a ranch. So I'm going to ask you to think kind of, because we don't know what other people are thinking. So you might want to do 1-story. And you also would want to do a ranch. And I'm going to have you add it over there. And then, you just add it over here, and then you're going to click OK. You don't want any kind of foreclosures because this is not a foreclosure. Did anybody see what subdivision this one was located in?
The reason you have no matches is because you have the address and the street and the street name.
Thank you, dear. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I have all kinds. What subdivision was it in?
Middle Creek.
There you go. I love it. Somebody was paying attention.
Ooh, Middle Creek is a hard one.
I used
In
to
case
live
you
over
guys
that
didn't
neighborhood.
notice it in the beginning, it also is on Realist. And right here in the subdivision is Middle Creek. So if you ever get lost, always go back to Realist and it will tell you. And so I'm going to use Middle Creek. So I have 26 matches. That's a lot. Wowza. That's a lot. All right. So we're going to start narrowing it down. I'm going to make you guys go small. Do you guys remember the square footage on that one? I'm going to come back here to subject because sometimes you just can go back there. 1494. So we're going back to our comparables. So we want to look for listings that are around 1,400 square foot. Here's one. Oh, and it's on Pin Oak. Look at us. There's one underneath it. You guys see any others?
Number 18.
Okay. Got it. Do y'all think those are good comps?
I would also include number 24 because it closed at 1518 square feet. So
Okay.
that's still pretty close to that high 14.
Very good.
Number 8.
Okay. All right. Are those good? Any arguments? Those are all 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, just like our subject property. And the square footage is in alignment with ours. All agree? All right. We're going to hit add selected. All right. So this is it in a shorter Shall. So are we still in agreement about all of these? Do we want to take any out? Do we want to leave them all there?
I think the 129 is pretty low, but I mean,
Okay, well, let's take a look at it. It's not a foreclosure, so you definitely can use it.
And if you can use it, then an appraiser may use it as well, even if it is lower. They
Yep.
are not always necessarily going in looking for the highest price.
Nope,
They're looking for the one that is most comparable to the subject.
absolutely. And
Since
that's a
these
very
are
good point.
since these are comparables, do we also want to remove result number 1 because that is also the subject property?
Yeah, we do need to.
do the appraisers, do they check to see if it was a cash or a loan, or does it matter to them?
They will sometimes make adjustments for it, but they will use it.
Okay.
They do have to note it in their appraisal as to what it is, but it, like Shauna said, sometimes it'll, but sometimes it won't.
5 square footage is a little high. Relative to other comps that are available.
This one?
Yeah, I think I was 15 to 1600.
Mm-hmm.
It closed out at 1518.
Yeah, and ours was
the subject
1498.
is 1494.
Yeah, 14. So it's one that you would definitely want to keep in. So that's why when you print these, or when you get them out or get them all together, this is when you want to start weeding through them like we are. Is this a good one? And why is it not a good one? So, and I love the fact that we are looking at these, because that's exactly what you should be doing, questioning, okay, well, this one's 15 to 16. Is that really a good fit? And you pull it up and look, okay, it was actually, and right here it shows it. I just didn't have my screen all the way, 15, 18. So yeah, you really want to stay anywhere between 100 below and 100 over if you can at all help it. So if any, I mean, that I would take off, it would probably be this one right here, 6721. I also will take a look at the time frame, just because, you know, these are older, so that, you know, they could fall off. This one right here is right at its 6-month point, so it's getting ready to fall off. And this one's not far behind the one on Pin Oak. However, it's on Pin Oak, so I would probably leave it there. But for now, we'll leave them on there. But we're going to go back and play with it a little bit so we can show you guys how it can change. All right. So next, I always leave the map on there, and I like to do it so that I can show my clients how close all of them are. They're all on this side of the street, and they're all in the same neighborhood. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get that, but it's really good when you have that map and you can show them how close all of them are. This is my favorite part, and this is usually where people start getting hung up. So who has, or who can pull up the adjustment sheet for me?
I have it up.
Okay. Read the bedrooms for me.
So for bedrooms,
It's at the bottom.
$600 to $800.
Okay, how much are we going to go?
Oh gosh, 600.
Okay. Bathrooms?
1,200 to 2,000.
Okay. 1,200?
Yes.
Okay. And half baths?
750 to 1,200.
Okay.
750.
All
I have a
right,
quick-
garage spaces.
I have a quick question on this.
Sure.
So when you are choosing, when it shows like, you know, that there's a different, I don't know, I'm blanking on words right now. When you can go from 600 to 800 for a bedroom, would you choose closer to 600 for like a house like this versus like 800 in like a house in like a really nice neighborhood where everything's kind of more updated?
Yes, absolutely. It's all about neighborhoods.
Okay.
All about neighborhoods.
I just want to pile onto that with a clarifying question. So is it like relative to the price? Because a $600 adjustment on a $120,000 house is different than on a $300,000 house. Is that kind of the idea behind it?
Kind of. In the end, it's really not going to make a difference. It really doesn't make a difference. Like it comes down to like what is it, Heather? Like a $20 difference. But it really is about the neighborhood. What a bedroom, a bath, all of that. It's really about the neighborhood. And that's why there is a range, because when you get into actually looking at the appraisals, there is no set amount. It's not like an appraiser goes in and says, bedrooms are only worth 600. There's not a rhyme or a reason. So if you want to give it, I tend to give the same exact amount across the board. But a lot of people vary it. So it's all up to you guys. Again, we are not appraisers. So when you start going in and doing valuations and CMAs, you need to be very careful in how you do your wording. Because if you go in and say your home is worth blank, guess what? You're not an appraiser. So you can't guarantee that that's what their house is worth. You can just say, based on the comparables I've used, this is what I believe your home is worth. This is what I believe that you can sell it for, but you're not an appraiser. So you got to be very careful. So don't get too caught up in these $200 or $600 or $800, because in the grand scheme of things, it's really not going to matter a whole lot. And I'll show you, just stick with me. All right, garage spaces.
For a single garage, well, this one is double garage, so 6,000 to 7,000.
Okay. So we're going to say, but for a single, it was 5,000, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going and see. Okay, let's go back here. All right, sold square footage. This is where a lot of people get lost. So we're going to go back to our comparables. I need somebody with a calculator and somebody to do my writing.
I can write for you, Shauna.
I got a calculator. I'm getting my calculator on my
Rebecca's
phone.
got my calculator. All right, Rebecca. The close, you are going to do 148.5 divided by 1401.
So it says 105 over 465 over 467. Wait, 105 and then 465 over 467, or 105.99. How about that? It's 105.99.
Okay, 105.99. Okay. 129,900 divided by 1442.
9442, you said?
1442.
1442. I'm sorry, I'm looking.
No, no. What we're dividing is we are dividing the closed price by the closed square footage. We're getting price per square foot.
90.8, 90.08.
Okay. 143,500 divided by 1479.
97.02.
165,000 by 1518.
108.69.
Okay. 145,000 divided by 1424.
101.82.
And 150,000 divided by 1443.
103.95.
Okay, Tiffany. You are going to divide that by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Will you take, wait, what?
You're going to divide that final number by 6.
With the 103.95 or?
You have to total all of these numbers together.
Oh, okay. Give me a sec. I wrote them all down.
That's okay. That's why we're doing this together.
105, and correct me, somebody was writing down, so I'm gonna say it out loud, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? So I got 105.99 plus 90.05 plus, I think I forgot to write one of them down, 97.02 plus 108.69 plus 103.95. Am I missing one? What's the one I'm missing?
102.
Point anything or no?
Just do 102.
Okay, and then divide that by 6? 101.27.
What'd y'all get?
Am I wrong? Oh.
Okay. Tiffany, is that what you got?
Yep, and Jim got the same thing.
Okay. And then you're going to take that number and divide it by 2.
Okay, so 101.27. Stop, Malia. Thank you. 50.63.
Okay. And you always round up, so we got 51. Okay. So we are here on comparable, so we're going to jump back to adjustments.
Shauna.
Yeah.
Where did you get the 2 from? I get the other numbers, but the divided by 2?
Because all houses have roofs, floors, walls, and things like that. So when you divide it by 2, you are taking out everything that everybody has, and that's where the difference comes from.
Okay, thank you.
So what was that number?
51.
Okay, there we go. All right, I'm not going to do any other changes right now. I'm just doing this change right here. So if we stop right here, you can already see where there is changes over here with the adjusted prices, just with the square footage alone. Do y'all see that over here? When you start making adjustments, just on square footage alone, we've made the adjustments. Okay. All right, so we're going to continue on. This is where your actual adjustments for other things start coming up. So granite, how much does granite?
$1,500 to $2,000 for granite.
Okay. And how much for privacy fence?
1,500 to 3,000.
Okay. Woof. I don't even know where that line came from. Where's the fireplace?
Is it a gas log fireplace or a real legit fireplace?
Good question.
Okay, question on that. So earlier, Shauna said, don't get caught up too much in the details. So I would say on that, I would go a midway between the two of them if I'm trying to get it done quickly.
Exactly. I love it. Thanks, Heather.
Nice. So a regular fireplace maxes out at 2,000. A gas log fireplace starts at 2,500.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say shoot for 2,250.
Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to work with right now. So we're going to go back to comparables. And look and see what these homes have. I'm just going to tell you the easiest way I've done it is to just look at the pictures. You can click on the MLS numbers, but unfortunately people don't always put everything that they have in there. You're going to do better with the pictures. Sometimes you have to click on the MLS number. Heather, what do you find easier?
I had just put a tip in my mouth, sorry. What you guys are looking at is what someone else has put in. Mm-hmm. And not everybody has been trained to do it the way that we're training you guys to do it. And even if they have been trained, sometimes they may miss something. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to pictures, read it, and read your comments. Because a lot of times people will put it in the comments because they know that's going to be syndicated out, where they may not have it in all of the features. So a good CMA is not something that should take you 5 minutes to do if you're doing it properly, because you are looking and having to research each of the comparable properties to find which is best. And it takes a long time. So go ahead and resolve to yourself that when you've got to do a CMA for a listing, that you're going to take a good amount of time doing it if you're going to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it right up front, then if you do have a Tidewater later, you already have that rather than having to like backtrack and redo everything all over again.
Very good point. So I usually start off with the pictures because that tells me the most about a property. The pictures are where it looks like a picture. So I go backwards because that's just me. So this is where you note all the things about the property. So you can, annotate the floors and all of that. If somebody wants to take notation, I'm going to show you in a minute why you don't need to get too technical about it. So what kind of countertops do y'all think those are?
Your regular old stuff that they just build the houses with.
Laminate?
What makes you think that, Jim?
I'm looking at the sink, for example. The sink has the where it holds on, where it connects to the countertop. It's going over instead of under. And typically, if it's a granite countertop, the sink's going to be mounted underneath it, so you're not going to see those edges of the sink.
Great point. Again, that's one of those things that you want to look at. Because sometimes people will put in granite when it really doesn't have granite because they don't always know. Because it looks it from the pictures keep in mind, some of these people never go to the houses. So that's why you always have to look at the pictures and do not just go by what they've put in. Gosh, looks like a regular old house, huh? Not new carpet. Hey, this is my floor plan. This is my floor plan.
Would you go back to that fireplace, please?
Oh, good catch. I don't think there's a better picture of it, Jim.
I thought there was a closer one.
I don't think so. Oh, there is.
Perfect. That looks, again, I'm looking, and this is from a far distance, but it looks like a legit fireplace.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
Jim, tell us why you think it looks like a legit fireplace.
Simply because of the log inside of it looks burned, but I do not have the cut sheet pulled up on my computer to tell whether or not it is or is not.
I don't either. Go
Looks
either.
like it's open faced too. There's no covering that you would typically see on a gas fireplace.
Okay, so that's something you want to make a mark on. If you're being nitpicky and keeping track whether or not it's a gas or a regular.
Reason why I say so is I've had multiple people ask me, hey, is this a legit fireplace or is this one of those gas type ones?
Mm-hmm.
And that's always something that when you're, of course, doing your walkthrough with your client, you need to know.
Can't tell real good. You can see a back fence, but it's kind of hard. You see it over here, but you can't tell whether or not it's fenced over there. So you know it's not fully fenced because there's no fence over here. Chain link over there. Ah, chain link on both sides. All right. Any arguments about anything that we've seen so far?
I did not see a propane tank on the back of the house, so that would indicate a real fireplace.
What if they took it away?
It's a good possibility too.
Not my first rodeo, Jim.
Just being observant is all.
And it doesn't say. So yeah, I would probably go with the regular fireplace. So where do you guys think we are with any adjustments?
Since now we know fireplace is legit, we could probably go around and drop the current adjustment from the 22 or from the 2,250. A regular fireplace goes between 1,500 and 2,000. This fireplace doesn't look to be all stellar like I've seen in other houses, so I'd say probably shoot around 1,700.
We're at 6721. Let me ask you this. What do we know about hours?
Well, you don't. And we will not know because there are no interior pictures.
I picked a great one, huh?
But I'm looking at the one picture of the back. Oh, come on, computer. And I'm not seeing a propane tank again. They could have removed it by now. And it's very difficult because it's got only the one angle on it. So I'm going to guess it's a real fireplace, but without stepping foot in.
Okay. So what are we going to add or take away? Does our subject property have a fireplace? And we think that ours is the same?
I think
More?
it might be the same.
Okay. The easiest way for me to remember that I have already done one is that right there. I put a 0, so I know that I've already addressed that. It's not going to make a difference, but it lets me know that I've already addressed that. What about for the privacy fence? $1,500, but it only had a back privacy fence. What do we know about our subject property?
It does have a fence on the back, but it looks to be about the same with chain linked in the front on at least the right side, looking at it from the road. Chain linked on part of the rear, not a whole lot of privacy fence.
So the same?
I'd say 6829 Pin Oak has less privacy fence than, yeah, that's our subject.
Pin Oak has less privacy?
Pin Oak has less privacy.
Because the backyard is smaller?
I'm just nitpicking, but it just looks like Pin Oak doesn't have as much privacy fence like up. It looks like more of it's chain linked.
Okay, so how much value do we want to change? And are we adding or taking away? And by the way, this is a group exercise, so everybody gets to help out. Dawn, I haven't heard from you.
It's all right. I'm working on some other stuff and just kind of listening in right now, Shauna.
Dawn, you let me down, ma'am. Good thing I like you. Mike, Rochelle, what do y'all think?
Let me see because I zoned out a minute. I think we should keep it the same. Who are we to like say because the backyard is smaller that we should adjust the price? I don't know.
What do y'all think? I have one for adjusting, one for keeping the same. What do y'all think?
I'd say, I mean, it depends on the difference. Like if it's just like a quarter acre difference, no, but if it's like 10 acres versus 1 acre, 10 acres versus a quarter acre, like you should definitely do some adjustments.
Right. Rochelle's right. If it's just because it's the size of the neighborhood or the size of the yard, you're not, if it's a regular residential lot, you're not going to make a difference.
I think this is where we need to reiterate again, where Shauna said, it's very good for us to want to make sure we give the most accurate price that we can come up with. But again, we're not appraisers. And these are all things that we have deducted from appraisals. And note, she said there were hundreds of them. So they ranged from one to another. And that broker found the middle place. So we are coming up with a rudimentary price. We're coming up with a rudimentary way of what an appraiser does. So I implore you to not get so caught up in the $100 to $200 to maybe even $500 changes and differences, because if you do and you get, oh yes, this is going to be $148,500, and this is my CMA and this is what it's going to be, and it comes in at a different price, then you may look a little different. You may look a little silly because yeah. Blah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, ask us how we know. Been there, done that. All right, granite. What about our subject property? Does it have granite? Does it say? Okay.
Does not say.
Okay, and we know this one doesn't. All right. Go back to our comparables. We are doing 6712 next. We're going backwards. We already know it's got chain link fence. And that's it for pictures. Nothing inside. Love those. So let's do. Don't say anything. Fenced yard and patio. This home has everything. Prefab fireplace. Updated kitchen with breakfast nook, but it doesn't say updated with what. Nice size master. Go ahead. Rochelle, were you saying something?
Oh, no, never mind.
Okay. So it doesn't say what it's updated with. So are we going to give it any value?
No value.
I would not. What was that one? 6712. So 6712. We don't know if it's got any granite, so we're not going to give it any. We don't know if there's any privacy fencing because it doesn't say, it just says fencing, so we're not going to give it any value. Has a fireplace, but all it says is prefab, which that's what ours has, so we're not going to give it any value. So we go back to our comparables. Let's go 6741. That is not a actual shed that you're going to give value to. Fire pit, nice, actually nice backyard. All privacy fenced, if you didn't notice. What you think about those counters?
Looks like the regular stuff, but I like how James Patrick has it staged.
There you see your fireplace, regular fireplace. Pretty plain and basic. All right. Privacy fence is really the only difference. So adjustments. What was the address of that one? Y'all got to keep me on track. 6741. 6741. So no granite. Privacy fence. This one is completely privacy fenced. Ours is not. So what kind of difference do we want to make there?
I would give it 3,000.
Well, we're saying that the privacy fence, all privacy fence is only 1,500. So what kind of difference do we want to make?
1,500. Are we gonna take away 1,500 because since that one is already fenced in and it will get the full value? Or am I lost and wrong?
Well, you're thinking right, except for ours does have some privacy fencing and some fencing. It was just chain link. So we're saying privacy fencing is worth 1,500, but they have some privacy fencing and some fencing. So we have to make that adjustment somewhere. So we have to take it away from them because they have more than us.
I'd say take 500 off.
Is everybody okay with that? Okay, I want you guys to watch what happens when I say take 500 off. I have negative 500 right here. Did y'all see what kind of difference that made?
Wow, a whole whopping, what, $5?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm gonna take it back off. Now I did it again. Was there even a difference? So that's why I tell you guys, don't get caught up in a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. Let's go back to our next one. Rim Road. We're here with Dogwood. 3-bedroom home, new paint, beautiful backyard. Doesn't say anything about granite, so I'm assuming no granite. Ah, there's a storage shed. Bum, 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 bum. Ooh, pretty. What you think about those countertops? Granite or no?
It looked like granite.
I don't believe so. But it's got a nice backsplash.
Why do you not think so?
Again, I'm just looking at the sink. I mean, if there was a tighter shot of the corner, I could tell, you could probably tell for sure.
Anybody else have an opinion? This is going to make a difference on our comp, so let's weigh in here.
I would say it's the Formica, because if you look there, it's rounded off. There's like 2 dips towards the edge instead of granite, how it's just rounded.
Great, Allie. I appreciate that very much so.
Well, I just went to a selection meeting with some builders, and they have different edgings for their granite, but I would have definitely notated granite in the comments because it add value. So because they eliminated that, I would go with her saying it's Formica as well.
Yeah. I'm with you. I really think that they would have had it more.
Another thing to look at is, so whoever went to selections and you have your different edges that you can do, this is a price point of a home that most people are not. So you definitely pay the higher level if you're getting that type of bullnose. And at this price point of a home, you're not typically going to find that in there. So that's kind of another indicator.
Yeah, a dead giveaway.
Another thing that you can do is, as you get to know the MLS very well, you can also, you learn which agents will put in all of the wording. I do see that this is a dogwood one, and they do have a tendency to make sure that they put all the words in there. I see a lot of our agents in our office doing the same thing. So like I said, as you learn the MLS and you are on it, you'll see ones that are be like, oh, thank God they're comparable, because I can get so much information out of that.
Yeah. And that's really a great point. And this is, but when we're not on Caravan, this is kind of the best time to learn like why and how we determine this. If we were on Caravan, we'd be able to say exactly what we're saying now. So that's kind of why I'm asking a little bit more of whys, so that you guys know when you're going out and showing the how and whys. It's definitely a nice house. I can see why it sold so fast. Lots of updates. Lots of updates. Do you see that sign in the bathroom?
That's classy. I like that.
Cute.
I love it. The rooms are very spacious. They did a good job.
I have a random question about adjustments.
I know. Didn't call on you.
I know it doesn't necessarily apply to these homes, but like, for instance, if we're looking at homes that are in like the Gen X area, and if some of them are on a well, do we do adjustments for that?
Right now, we have not seen any price changes because of Gen X.
Wow. Okay. I was just wondering, because I know like everybody that I've talked to that's like, they're like automatically like, nope, we don't want a house with a well over there.
As of right now, we've not seen any price reductions because of Gen X. So,
okay.
By the way, there is a Gen X class coming up. Heather, when is it? The 25th, 22nd? Whenever it is. If you guys have not been invited, let me know and I will send you an invite. It's great information, really good information. All right.
Yeah, it's on the 25th at 2.
Perfect. Yes, my people definitely need to be there. Definitely. Okay, so this one we agreed did not have granite. What about privacy fence? It was all privacy fenced. Same deduction?
That's what I would say.
Hey, question. Because it has more fencing, would it be a deduction?
Mm-hmm.
Are you adding value because you have more fence on the property than the house that you're comparing it to?
Mm-mm. You have to bring it to our level.
Oh, got it.
So you have to take it away. So we're going to bring it to our level, which is another 500. Jim, can you upload the list of values again for me?
Certainly.
All right, and there was a fireplace, wasn't there? Did you guys see a fireplace? Yes or no?
For 65, 48. Or no, Rim Road.
Okay, this one had a shed. We did not discuss the shed. How much is a shed?
$1,500.
Okay. And I love that this came up because is shed on our list?
It does not.
So what are we going to do?
Go back to the pages, I believe. Or
Subject.
Subject.
But you were close. And we're going to add shed. And then we're going to jump back to adjustments. And how much did you say it was?
A nicely constructed shed is 500.
Okay. 500?
Or 1,500, my fault.
No. Okay, and that one had it. And so we are going to take off 1,500. Boom. So do you see by 1,500 how much that changed? Do I need to redo it so that you guys can see that figure?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I don't think anything really changed.
Not much. All right, let's go to the next one. That was Rim Road. Pacific Avenue. Let's see. Oh, this one has gas logs and granite countertops. All right. Woohoo. All right. Oops, somebody's popping up here. Hang on a second. Marlon said he thinks there might be I have a value. That's why in the data column might be why there's not showing a change. And Marlon, you can call me out in front of everybody. It don't matter to me. If you know something I don't know. Pretty fireplace, but it's got gas logs.
Which does add to the value, according to the CMA sheet.
Mm-hmm. But remember, we were just going midway so that we didn't have to be so nitpicky on this particular one.
Yeah.
Because you can get very nitpicky on these. You can do porches, you can do patios, you can do all of that. Okay, go to adjustments. This particular one had granite. So I'm going to ask you to look at the price because I'm going to put in a negative 1,500. Wait. How am I doing this one? We've already been. We're on 6548, right? I put in something wrong. 6548, something somewhere wrong, but that's okay. It'll still work out. Minus 15. Watch how the numbers change.
Shauna, where should we be looking to see these numbers change? Because on all of these adjustments that you've made, are we looking at the average price or the
You're
price?
gonna look over here at the adjusted price.
Thank you.
Yep. So. Did you notice that?
Yes, ma'am. The range changed on the low, medium, average, and high for all of those categories.
But did you notice how much?
Very minimal.
Very minimal. And look at the amount that we adjusted. So do you see why Heather and I are saying don't make a big deal out of the $200 and $500 things?
Exactly.
If a $1,500 thing is only making $100 change, a $200 item is going to make even less of a change. So sometimes people get really hung up in, well, I've got to do a $500, you know, it's got a patio and a patio is worth $500. It's okay. The commission only says that you have to show adjustments. It doesn't say that it has to be each and every adjustment, nor does it say that it has to be perfect. We're not appraisers and they don't expect us to be perfect. You just have to have some adjustments so it can show where you got your numbers. So the fact that we are looking for granite and privacy fences, things that are noticeable and worth something, that's where they want to know that you are doing something. So don't get caught up in the small stuff. Don't get caught up like in the difference between a $600 and an $800 bedroom, because it's not going to make any kind of a difference. And that's why I said, wait till we get there and we'll talk about that. It's not a big difference. I'm just going to add in, what's the most expensive thing on our list? We'll just say, what is it? We'll say hardwood flooring. And I'm just going to add it on. I'm going to add it in. So watch, and I'm going to put it under fireplace just so that you can see where it changes. I want you guys to look at the difference in the price for a $6,500 addition. Do you guys notice that?
$100 maybe.
On some of them, on the high end, it went up a couple of thousand, but not $6,500.
So, Shauna, it's safe to say that the most important aspect of doing the CMA is choosing the right comparable properties to compare to the subject property.
Choosing the right properties and doing the square footage correctly.
And the divide by two, one more time, was to take away from items like the roof, flooring, walls, things like that. So yes. You're just going to average the square foot of however many properties. So in this case, we divided by 6. Mm-hmm. And then when you divided by 2, it was to take away those items that aren't really usable space.
Right.
Thanks for that clarification.
Of course. So people, they're like, oh, well, you know, I've got to be perfect. This is not a perfect science because we don't have the exact numbers that appraisers use. They're not going to tell us what they are because they don't want us doing our job. Remember, we're real estate agents. We're not appraisers, so we have to stay in our lane. So all we can do is tell them based on what has sold, this is what we think their home is worth. And this is going to change based on what homes have sold for. So to go back to Rochelle, when she wanted to throw out that one that was $129,000 because it was low, sometimes people have equity and they can sell low. you don't want to throw those out because an appraiser will use those. Because sometimes they don't want to overinflate the market. So they will look for the lower ones. Sometimes people have overdone a home, and I'm going to go back to the one that the Dogwood company used. There were a lot of updates in that home. So we don't know what the actual offer was. So we don't know if they came down on if it appraised. That's one of the things that we don't get to see as agents, whether or not a Tidewater comes in and the price has to be adjusted any. So you got to be really careful that whenever you're giving these things out, that you're giving accurate information. Our job is to educate our clients. So when you get over to the pricing section, it will show them what the adjusted prices are. It's still their choice of what to price the home at. So you shouldn't be telling them we're going to price it at 163,776. They should be deciding what price to price it at. These are just based on what has sold and you doing your comps at. So again, these are not perfect. Things have changed in the last year a lot. So just keep that in mind, you know, that you're just giving them, you know, numbers, and they do range, but it's not going to change your bottom number a lot. That's why you don't have to go to the house and write down every single upgrade that they've done, because it's even if you have $6,500 worth of upgrades, it's not going to change the house that much. Does that make any sense for you guys? So do you guys have any questions for me?
Yes, Shauna, I do have a question. You brought up a very valid point about us not telling our potential clients the price to price their homes at. But can you give them, in your professional opinion, you know, I've seen that your house would price closer to the higher end of the range, like a statement like that, and then allow them to sit down and make that decision on their own?
What I usually tell my clients is low is a home that needs work. Medium average is a medium average home. And then high is a perfect mint condition, like new construction. Where does your home fall in the category?
Thank you.
They pretty much know where their home is at. And you're going to walk in some that it is picture perfect and you know it's high. You're going to walk in some and you're like, yeah, we're not getting top dollar. And they may want top dollar, but you know they're not going to get top dollar because of that. It needs carpeting or paint or whatever. So at that point in time, when they say that they want high, it's your job to say, okay, great. What are you going to do to get that price? You know?
Thank you, Shauna. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's our job. You know, we educate them. It's their money, their home. So we just have to educate them how to get there. And some are willing to do it because they want that high price, but that's where they go back and say, okay, well, I was going to put in granite. Well, are they really wanting to put $6,000 worth of granite in to only get $1,500? Or would it be better to put in a nicer updated countertop and spend less money and still get a nice look? So that's where, you know, we kind of come in and can help them. So these numbers really do help when you're going out for those listing appointments, so that you can tell them where their money is better spent.
Hi, Shauna, morning.
Morning.
Do you record these videos and put them on any platform?
I did a previous CMA class and it is in the YouTube section on our dashboard.
Copy that.
Anybody else?
I've got one. I've been working with a bunch of.
No way. You have not been paying attention and now you want to ask me questions?
No, I've been paying attention at the end.
Love it. Go ahead.
So I have been working with a lot more investors lately. Seems to be my thing right now. with on the buy side, doing these on the buy side, when there's a lot less, let's say, comparables just because of what they're looking at, just a bigger mileage range in a longer time frame.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Just make sure that you're staying in the right school district.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's where it comes in. You have that a lot more, especially like out in, I'm going to say like Grace Creek, Harnett County, things like that. That's where the school districts really come into play, because while the high school is such a huge school district, the elementary schools are not. So you're going to start with the elementary school and then go to the middle school.
Okay.
And again, what I tell my people is, I'm not an appraiser. I've just learned over time how they find homes, how they look for homes. And so that's how I choose my homes.
And trying to understand the thought process of an appraiser is enough to drive you absolutely insane. I'm a firm believer in what Shauna said, is staying within the school districts. I have a listing in Jack Britt right now, a very unique property. It went under contract. It appraised at value. I asked if they would send me the comp sheet because I was just interested. They used a home. Their first comp was a home in Rayconda. So as much as you study your appraisals and those comp sheets, and you can come to CMA classes, you will be absolutely flustered and flabbergasted at some of the things that you may see. So when you see those things, what we don't want is for you to go back and say, well, that class that Shauna taught said that you got to do this, because it is based on an opinion of that appraiser. And all we can do is take so if you have any appraisals, we'd love to see them, to be able to keep this as updated as possible. But just understand that you have some appraisers that are stodgy and meh, and then you have some that are like, hey, that's cool, we can do this. You'll get that appraiser that you're gonna just get sick to your stomach when you know that their name comes across your phone and you're like, oh my God, what's happening? And then you get the Crawford McKeithans that you're just like, oh, yay.
And definitely study those appraisers, guys. Whenever you have a buyer, most of the time the buyers will let you get the appraisal or just ask them to send it to you. Look it over, because that's your chance to really understand what an appraisal is and how it looks. But also, when a house comes under Tidewater, you as the buyer's agent should be doing your own comps and sending them in. Please do not just wait for the listing agent to send in their comps, because you don't know what kind of comps that they're sending in. I had somebody come in the other day and said, well, I don't want to send in my comps because I'm trying to get the best deal for my client. Your client already wanted the house at that price. The job is to get the client the house that they wanted. You never know. Keegan is a perfect example. Keegan, how low was that house that came in? Wasn't it like 20,000 low?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was 25,000 low, I think.
It was ridiculously low. Her and the listing agent both turned in comps. They used complete different comps, and the house came back. They changed it. So she was working for her clients, and her clients were okay with it because that's the house that they wanted. So don't turn in comps. Somebody else the other day had somebody turn in comps and they didn't even send it to the right place. And now they're in a problem where the agent didn't do the comps and the sellers don't want to lower the price, and they want the buyers to come out of the pocket, and the buyers don't feel like they should. So sellers don't have to lower the price, and remember that. So it could be that your buyer's out of house if you don't do your job at turning in the comps. So just remember that. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to help you. I'm sure Heather's happy to help you. There's several of us around the office that don't mind looking them over. Just remember, choosing the right comps is really it, and then getting the square footage down. Those are the two main factors. You've got your CMA adjustment sheet to help you out. So those are the biggest things. So if you guys have any questions, I'm here. And if not, I won't take up any more of your time.
Oh, Shauna, I do have one question. It is off topic. It's not related to CMAs. It's more on in regards to family reunion. Do we have the additional 15 people needed to get the discounted ticket price of $80?
Not yet. They put it out for the entire office, so hopefully some other people will pick that up.
Okay, cool.
But still waiting.
Thank you.
So put out the word, invite other agents. That's a great way to grow your downline, invite other agents. Because family reunion is awesome. Right, Heather? You're welcome, Caleb. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Christina.
Hey, Shauna, on a new build, when, like DJ's new build, when do I need to start looking at like a realistic window to do a comp for him?
I mean, you can kind of do it anytime.
It's not supposed to be construction complete till like June.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean we're in the 6-month window now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you can pretty much do it anytime. And new construction's a little bit different. It's a whole different animal, and I hate to say that because it sounds kind of like a cop out. New construction, typically the builders know before they ever start building what the comps are in that area.
Right.
They can't afford to list houses that are not worth it, because if it were, we're just going to say $2,000. If it's $2,000 short, then that means every other house in that neighborhood is $2,000 short. And so they typically know what the prices are before they ever start building and pricing them, because they don't want to have that issue.
Right.
So it's kind of a different animal when it comes to new construction. But you can certainly do a CMA on it by all means. You can pretty much do it, at any point in time. You just have to go by and use other new construction comps or something built within the last year.
It's new construction condo. This should be fun.
Oh yeah, that will be lots of fun. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, new construction is just kind of a different animal altogether. It's just tough because they fall into their own category, but it's really because of the builders. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Of course. Anybody else? Okay. Well, if we don't have any, I'm going to let you guys go. And you guys have a wonderful afternoon. And thank you guys for attending and participating. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Shauna. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.